Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the delay. This is definitely something I'm going to want to have video for. So, I just getting that. And now it's not working. Why is it not working? Bear with me. Days, I just can't stand this technology. Just pre record it, maybe. Why is this not working? Should be working fine. Okay, now it's working. Or at least it seems to be working. Why is it not? Let's try this again. Okay, it is working. It's just slow, I guess. Okay, forgive me acting like an idiot. Uh, Now give me a second. Let me post links, and then we'll get this party started. Almost ready. One sec. There we go. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, or actually, good afternoon, technically. But welcome to a new series I'm doing. It's going to be a little solo thing aside from doing the radio show. Um, so, about a week ago, I found this really interesting. It's somewhere between a loot crate and a game called Empty Faces. This is it right here. So you pay a monthly fee, and it's $30, so it's pretty cheap. And they send you a box like this every month, and I'm going to go through it in a minute. Um, what I find really interesting about this is it's a paranormal investigation storyline. It's an actual game with puzzles and riddles and things to figure out and a mystery to solve. Um, so this, of course, really appeals to me, being this is what I do for a living. So I decided to check it out. I got the first box, and I'm gonna get the future boxes. So this will be a once a month thing because they come out once each month. If you decide you want to check this out, there's a link in the description. But it's basically emptyfaces.com. So the premise is that there's this woman, this child named Isabella that is sick, but it's not a natural sickness. It's some sort of paranormal occurrence. And her grandmother is reaching out for help. Her grandmother's name is Grace. Now, each month you get a box from Grace, and it contains various things. Let's go through what you get what I got in my first box. So, the first you get a bunch of things with the first box. One which I thought was very nice is this. It's a nice little notebook to keep your notes in because there's a mess of puzzles and riddles and clues and things of that nature to try to work out. Um, this has already come in handy trying to work through some of it. I will say I'm going to try very hard to avoid spoilers because I don't want to ruin this for anybody who decides, hey, this is cool, I want to check it out. But well, I'm going to try and avoid spoilers. There may be a few small ones. So you get that. Then you get two physical things to do something with. One is a packet of sage. Um, and I'll get to why they send you this in a minute. And the other one is a crystal. Um, in this case, I don't know gemstones very well, admittedly. I mean, when I was in high school, I did some of the, how to test hardness and whatnot. But I think it's at least supposed to be. I don't know if it actually. I sort of suspect it isn't. But I think, at least in theory, it's supposed to be rose quartz. Which makes sense because let me go into what else you get aside from those two big things, which I believe you only get the very first month. So you also get this packet of information. And in this, there's a whole bunch of things. Let me show you the things in proper order. Here we go. So you get this, which is a letter from the grandmother, explaining the problem, explaining that she saw you in a dream and feels you're the one who can help her, and help her granddaughter more specifically. You also get some diary pages from the little girl, and then you get the two big puzzles. There's puzzles throughout the other pages as well, but you have this, which is a code. I'm working on breaking this. It's not easy. There's hints all through all the other papers. There's a website that gives some more hints, but it's some sort of substitution code, which is supposed to be instructions on how to purify your house. Because the idea is you want to use the sage to purify your house to get rid of any negative influences around you. Then there's this, which is a tree rubbing. This is funny enough. Well, that's the other code is supposed to be the first thing you break. Well, I'm still working on that. I've already cracked this because anyone who knows real world codes will probably look at that, and I mean I did, and I went, wait a minute, I know what that is. I'm not gonna go into exact details, but it's not real hard to figure out. It's a real-world code used by that's been used by the military for at least a century, involving flags. It's a pair of flags in different positions. Holding them in different positions signifies different letters and things of that nature. The code's very easy to find online, and once you get that, it's relatively easy to work out. And then the last thing you get is this letter, which is from Isabella's doctor. So I don't want to go read into all these things because, again, spoilers. Dr. Riversong after all. But to get into some basic ideas of what's going on, from what I've gathered so far, given this is the first box, this is first impressions based on what I've read, what I've found online, using the various sources online, and applying what I know to the paranormal to it all. Because they talk about on the websites and whatnot that they want you to do research, that there's a whole, you can get clues to what's going on by looking into the background of certain things. So, the crystal I showed you all, the one I suspect, and may be very well wrong, this one, that I think is rose quartz. So, it's called, in the letter from Grandma, it's called a dreamstone. When I did a little digging online, in crystal, the various symbolism and uses of crystals, which is very big in the New Age movement and various types of magic, quartz is supposed to be healing and good dreams, so it seems like a logical choice. If you do get your own box, you may get a completely different pendant. I've seen a few dozen pictures of different options online. But again, it seems to relate back to this idea that she's contacting you through dreams. Obviously, it's fiction, although I will say I've had some very odd dreams since getting it. It's been an interesting experience. But the overall concept seems to be that you have this granddaughter, Grace. Or not Grace, Isabella. Isabella had befriended wood spirits. Now, Isabella and Grandma practice magic, although they don't call themselves witches. they call it the practice. Um, and there's a whole bunch of interesting symbolism in that, and some references to things. But this idea that she had befriended wood spirits, and then the one code, the one I had broken, is supposed to be found in marked onto a tree, and then the implication seems to be that her soul has left her body. Now, wood spirits to me suggests fairies. Um, Dryads are the most obvious choice, but there's elves and just about all sorts of fairies get associated with trees in the woods and the wilderness. Um, Now, in all the overarching videos and literature about this, they talk about this great evil in the world. Um, While fairies are not necessarily evil, some of them can be pretty nasty. I don't know for certain if that's the direction this is going in, but it seems more in that direction than in a demonic sense. Although I may very well be wrong. Again, this is the first. There's 5 episodes to a season. They're already on their second season, so I have a long way to go trying to piece all this together. But my instincts, based on what I've read and based on what I know, and reading between the lines in a few places, suggest that Isabella went on what they call an astral projection, where your soul leaves your body and you go out wandering, and something's spiritually preventing her from coming back, leaving her empty, potentially for some type of possession. This is very in keeping with some fairy lore, in terms of, taking people to fairy, things of that nature. Certainly could also be consistent with demonic activity and a whole bunch of other things. But again, I'm trying I'm thinking they're not going that route yet. We'll see as the months develop. Let's see, what else have I noticed? Overall, there's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. I'm hoping when I crack the larger code, I'll start to get a better handle on what's going on. Certainly, I expect with the next box, adding clues to what I've already had and making still more notes, I'll start to get a handle on things. It's really neat. I find it really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how the storyline plays out. If you can't tell by the shirt I'm wearing, which is for an local escape room, I love puzzles. I love solving things. I love that kind of mindset. The one thing that's killing me at the moment is code breaking is not my strong suit. My co-host on the radio show, Chris, aka Baron Voltage, is actually very good at code breaking. So if I really get stuck, I'll probably go to him for or I might even just go to him for some tips and advice, and then try and break it on my own. Here's another nice thing for, if you buy this and you just get completely stuck, and trust me, I've been there. Sometimes you get a puzzle and you just can't figure it out. There is a website for episode recaps that gives you clues, and you can decide how much of a reveal you want on each clue, up to and including they'll just give you the answer. I've already looked over it mostly to check my work so far, and looked for a couple of angles I haven't figured out yet. But I haven't broken the solutions yet. Actually, no, that's not true. I did check the one solution just to make sure I had translated the semaphore right, and yes, I had. But there's an enormous amount of information out there. There's a bunch of videos like this. There's a whole message board, all sorts of things. If you want to speculate, there's Facebook groups. This is a really neat idea. I'm going to do, I think, one video a month. I'll warn you, if you're watching this now and you think this is cool and you're following along but you can't afford a box, I think by nature of the beast, as I get into the second box and third box and fourth box, fifth box, there's going to be more spoilers. Not so much for each box, but for the box before it, just by virtue of, I don't know, not having seen later boxes, but my gut feeling, my guess, is with each box building on the last one, it's going to be hard to talk about the second box without talking about the first box, and so forth and so on. That's going to about do it for this. Like I said, I don't want to get too much further. I don't want to start trying to crack the other code on air because I don't want to spoil it for somebody else. This is a really neat thing. Again, if you want to check it out, there's a link in the description. This is not, let me be clear, this is not me trying to sell something. It's not me trying to pitch something. I just think I don't have any agreement with them, although I am trying to get somebody from them on the radio show because I think this is absolutely fascinating and right up our alley. But I just think this is really cool, and I'm recommending it to people like me who have an interest in the paranormal because I think you guys might like it too. That's going to do it for tonight. Remember to tune in on Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. In the evening, we'll be doing the latest episode of Paranormal Encyclopedia. That'll do it for today. Have a good night, everyone. God bless. Wait, first, I want to.